Listen to me. You think victory is something that just happens, something you stumble into? No, victory is not luck. Victory is not convenience. Victory is a decision. Every single day you wake up, you're making decisions. Decisions to grind or to give up. Decisions to go one more rep or to sit it out. And I came to tell somebody today, you are one decision away from changing your life. You don't win because it's easy. You win because you refuse to quit. You win because you decided. No matter what comes my way, I'm not backing down. When it hurts, decide to push. When you're tired, decide to show up. When they doubt you, decide to prove them wrong. I need you to understand something. Winners are not born. Winners are made in the fire of tough decisions. You got to choose victory long before you see it. You got to believe in it even when there's no evidence. You got to say to yourself, I was built for this. You can't pray for success and then sleep on discipline. You can't dream big and move small. Victory doesn't respond to emotions. It responds to effort. It responds to decision. So I need you to decide today, will you keep playing small or will you step up and claim what's already yours? Because victory starts when you decide. You won't be denied. Victory is not accidental, it's intentional. This truth is often ignored, overlooked, or misunderstood, especially in a world that celebrates outcomes but rarely shows the pain behind the process. When people see someone achieving greatness, whether it's in business, sports, academics, or personal growth, they often assume that person was lucky, born with a special gift, or simply in the right place at the right time. But that's not the reality. The truth is, victory starts in the mind long before it shows up in life. It starts with a conscious, deliberate decision. A decision to rise, to commit, to grind, and to never let excuses outweigh the goal. Nothing meaningful happens by accident. You don't become a champion by chance. You don't lose 100 pounds by chance. You don't graduate at the top of your class, build a business from the ground up, or become a world-class athlete just because you happen to show up. No, all of that takes a decision, not once, but every single day. That decision is made in the dark behind closed doors when no one is clapping for you. It's made when you get up at 4 a.m. to train, when you say no to distractions, when you sacrifice comfort progress. Victory is a product of deliberate thinking, is rooted in mindset. Before any external achievement comes, an internal shift must happen. You have to believe you are worthy of winning. You have to see yourself succeeding long before the world recognizes it. And once you've made that mental shift, that decision to win, your actions begin to align. Your schedule changes. Your energy changes. You stop wasting time. You stop entertaining negative thoughts or people who pull you away from your purpose. A person who is intentional about victory doesn't wait for perfect circumstances. They don't say, I'll start when I feel ready, or I'll give my best when the situation is ideal. They start where they are. They give what they have. They push forward regardless of what's missing, because they know that they don't start now, they might never start at all. Intentional people don't need motivation to move. They move out of commitment. They understand that commitment lasts beyond emotion. Let's talk about the grind. The grind isn't pretty. It's not glamorous. Most of it is boring, repetitive, thankless work, but it's necessary. And people who are intentional about victory know this. They made peace with the process. They understand that while the world might only see the highlight reel, the real transformation is in the unseen hours. The reps in the gym, the quiet moments of study, the early mornings, the late nights, that's where champions are built. Every time you do the hard thing, every time you choose discipline over distraction, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. Victory is also about ownership. When you decide that you want to win, you take full responsibility for your life. No more blaming circumstances. No more pointing fingers. No more waiting for someone to come and rescue you. You stop saying, I can't because, and start saying, I will, no matter what. That's what separates winners from everyone else. Winners don't need conditions to be perfect. They need only the decision to start, the will to keep going, and the resilience to keep rising after every fall. Intentional living means saying no more than you say yes. It means cutting off distraction. It means eliminating comfort zone. When you are intentional about victory, you start aligning your entire life with your goals. You begin to ask, does this habit support the vision I have? Or does this person fuel my purpose or drain it? is this choice taking me closer to or farther from my win? That level of awareness is what fuels unstoppable momentum. People who achieve real victory are not more talented, more gifted, or more blessed than you. They are just more decided. They wake up every day with a clear goal in mind, and they make 1,000 micro decisions that support that goal. They decide to get out of bed. They decide to push one more time. They decide to believe in themselves when no one else does. They decide to prepare, to learn, to fail forward. And over time, those decisions compound into success. Let's not forget this. Intention creates consistency, and consistency creates excellence. There's no secret formula. It's not magic. It's not overnight. It's one good decision followed by another, and another, and another, until the habits are stronger than the excuses, and the discipline is louder than the doubt. That's when victory becomes inevitable. Not because the path got easier, but because your commitment got stronger. There will be obstacles. There will be days when nothing goes according to plan. There will be moments when quitting feels more attractive than continuing. But intentional people don't listen to those feelings. They respect the feeling, but they don't obey it. They made a decision, and that decision overrides the emotion. That's why people like that always seem unshakable. It's not that they don't feel fear or frustration. They just don't submit to it. And here's the thing. You have that same power right now, in this moment. You don't need permission. You don't need validation. You don't need everything to be perfect. You just need to decide. Decide that you're not going to settle for average. Decide that your dreams are worth the effort. Decide that every setback is just a setup for your comeback. Decide that victory is not a wish, it's your mission. So stop waiting. Stop watching others live their purpose while you delay yours. Victory's not going to knock on your door and invite itself in. You've got to claim it. You've got to chase it. You've got to choose it every day, every choice, every step. Victory is not something you hope for. It's something you decide to fight for. And when you finally win, and you will, you'll know deep down it didn't happen by accident. It happened because you made a decision that you were no longer available for anything less. You chose to rise. You chose to grind. You chose to keep showing up. That's the power of intentional living. That's the essence of real victory. Your decisions shape your destiny. It's a simple statement, but behind it lies a powerful truth that most people overlook. We live in a world where it's easy to blame circumstance, the way we were raised, the opportunities we didn't get, the people who hurt us, the timing that wasn't right. But when you strip all that away, when you really look in the mirror, you come face to face with a deeper reality. The life you live today is a direct result of the decisions you made yesterday. The life you'll live tomorrow, that will be shaped by the decisions you make today. Every single day you are making decisions, whether you're aware of them or not. You decide whether to hit the snooze button or get up and chase the day. You decide whether to fuel your body with strength or break it down with comfort food. You decide whether to work on your goals or waste time scrolling. You decide to have that difficult conversation or avoid it and let resentment grow. You decide to speak life into your future or repeat the negative story you've told yourself for years. These decisions might seem small, even insignificant in the moment, but over time, they become the bricks that build the foundation of your destiny. It's easy to look at people who've made it and think they had something special, but what they really had was clarity of purpose, clarity of vision, and most importantly, the discipline to make decisions that supported that vision, even when it was hard, even when no one understood. Because the truth is, the gap between who you are and who you want to become is closed by your decision. Every decision carries a consequence. That's not a threat. That's a fact. Some consequences are immediate. Others take time to reveal themselves. But make no mistake, your life is always moving in the direction of your strongest decisions. And if you look at where you are today and you're not happy with it, the most empowering thing you can do is not complain, not compare, but decide differently. You can't wish your way into a better life. You can't hope your way into discipline. You have to choose. And when you choose, the universe responds. Opportunities begin to align. Your energy begins to shift. Your habits begin to change. People begin to notice. That's what happens when you stop waiting and start deciding. Your decisions don't have to be perfect. They just have to be intentional. Too many people get paralyzed by overthinking. What if I choose wrong? Or what if I fail? Listen, doing nothing is still a decision. And indecision is one of the most dangerous places to live. It drains your energy, steals your time, and keeps you stuck in cycles of regret and fear. At some point, you have to stop being afraid of the outcome and start trusting your ability to adjust. Make the decision. If it doesn't work out, make another one. But never let fear or failure rob you of the power to choose your path. When you start making powerful decisions, you start building a powerful life. You decide to say no to distractions. You decide to distance yourself from people who drain you. You decide to invest in your growth, whether that's reading, training, mentoring, or just showing up with full presence. You decide to face your weaknesses instead of hiding behind them. And with each decision, you gain momentum. That momentum becomes confidence. That confidence becomes strength. And that strength begins to transform not just what you do, but who you are. One of the most powerful decisions you can make is to stop living in the past. So many people are carrying guilt, shame, or pain from what they did or didn't do years ago. But here's the truth. You can't rewrite the past, but you can decide how it defines you. You can decide to learn from it, grow from it, and use it as fuel. And that's what winners do. They don't ignore their past, but they don't live there either. They take the lessons and use them to shape a better future. Another major decision you have to make is to stop waiting for validation. So many people are stuck because they're waiting for someone else to believe in them. But if you're waiting for permission to go after your dreams, you'll be waiting forever. The only permission you need is your own. The only approval that matters is the one you give yourself. When you decide that you are enough, that you are capable, that you have something valuable to offer, you unlock a level of potential that most people never tap into. You begin to walk differently, talk differently, carry yourself with a sense of purpose that can't be faked. You also have to decide who you're going to listen to, because every day the world is trying to program you. Social media, news, friends, family, everyone has an opinion about what you should do, how you should live, what's realistic. But the voice you choose to believe is the one that will shape your destiny. If you keep listening to the voice of doubt, insecurity, and fear, don't be surprised when your life looks average. But if you choose to listen to the voice that says, we're built for more, you can do this, you've got what it takes, then you start walking in the future that belongs to you. Not because it was handed to you, but because you decided to claim it. You will face moments where you feel like giving up. That's part of the journey. Life will hit you with setbacks. Plans will fall through. People will betray you. Your own mind will become your enemy. And in those moments, you have to decide who you want to be. You have to decide to rise, even when it hurts, to keep moving, even when it feels like nothing's working. That decision, to persist, to endure the grind through the pain, is the difference between those who make it and those who don't. No one becomes great by accident. No one builds a legacy on chance. It's decision after decision after decision, each one carving a path to the life they envision. So when people say, you're lucky, what they really mean is, you made decisions I wasn't willing to make. And here's the best part. It's never too late to decide. You can decide today to take control. You can decide to change directions, to stop settling, to start believing in yourself. You can decide to forgive, to let go, to heal. You can decide to outwork everyone in the room. You can decide to stop reacting to life and start creating it. That's your power. And no one can take that from you. Because at the end of the day, your life will not be defined by what happened to you, but by how you responded. It will be shaped not by what you hoped for, but by what you chose. So choose wisely, decide boldly. And never forget, your destiny is not written in the stars. It's written in your daily decision. The decision to win is not a feeling. It's a mindset. It's not about whether you feel motivated or not, whether you feel confident or not, or whether the conditions are perfect. It's about making a declaration to yourself that no matter what comes your way, you are going to keep pushing forward. Victory doesn't come to those who wait for the perfect moment. It comes to those who decide that no matter how they feel, no matter what obstacles stand in their way, they're going to give everything they've got every single day. This is where most people go wrong. They think they have to feel inspired to take action. They wait for motivation to kick in. They wait for the stars to align. But that's not how winners operate. Winners understand that feelings are fleeting, unreliable, and inconsistent. They don't wait to feel like grinding, they grind. They don't wait to feel like showing up, they show up. They don't wait for the energy to start, they start and let the energy catch up. When you decide to win, you're not just committing to the outcome, you're committing to the process. That means you're locking in even when it's boring, even when it's repetitive, even when it doesn't feel like you're making progress. There are going to be days when you're tired, when you're discouraged, when you question if it's all worth it. That's when your decision gets tested. And that's when you find out if you really meant what you said when you told yourself, I'm all in. There's a difference between being interested and being committed. When you're interested, you do what's convenient. When you're committed, you do whatever it takes. You don't negotiate with your goals. You don't bargain with your standards. You don't shrink your dreams to match your emotions. You rise to the occasion, even when the occasion feels like a mountain, even when no one's watching, even when there's no applause, even when no one believes in you but you. And let's be real, most people will never decide to win. They'll choose comfort over challenge, distraction over discipline, excuses over effort. Why? Because it's easier, it's safer, it doesn't require sacrifice. But those same people will look back one day and wonder why their lives didn't change. The answer is simple. They never decided to win. They decided to coast, to survive, to blend in. But winners, they decide to dominate. When you make the decision to win, you are declaring war on mediocrity. You're saying, I will no longer accept average from myself. That's not arrogance, that's ownership. It means you're holding yourself to a higher standard, regardless of your circumstances. You stop blaming the system, your past, your upbringing, your environment. You take full responsibility. No, because once you accept that everything in your life is your responsibility, you unlock your ability to change it. That's why winners train even when they don't feel like it. That's why they study when others are partying. That's why they take care of their bodies and minds even when no one's forcing them. Because they understand this truth. The grind doesn't care how you feel. Life doesn't hand out participation trophies. Victory isn't given, it's earned. And it's earned in the quiet moments, the painful moments, the lonely moments when no one else sees the work. Don't get it twisted. Making the decision to win doesn't mean the path will be smooth. In fact, it's often harder. When you make that decision, challenges don't disappear, they multiply. Why? Because pressure reveals the truth. When you declare to the world that you're going to win, the world pushes back. It asks, how bad do you really want it? And your answer isn't in your words. It's in your work ethic, your resilient grit. You will fall. You will fail. You will get knocked down. But winners don't stay down. They get back up. Not because it's easy, not because it's fun, but because they already made the decision. They made it when they were tired. They made it when they were scared. They made it when no one else understood why they kept going. And that decision becomes their anchor when the storm hits. There's a saying, discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. When you decide to win, you're choosing the weight of discipline over the crushing burden of regret. You're choosing to make sacrifices now so you can celebrate later. You're choosing the hard path, the road less traveled, because you know what's waiting at the end. Growth, achievement, fulfillment, victory. But the beauty of deciding to win is that it changes you on the inside. It rewires your thinking. You stop looking for shortcuts. You stop expecting handouts. You stop caring about other people's opinions. You get locked in. You get focused. You start seeing obstacles as opportunities to prove how serious you are. You start seeing setbacks as setups for comebacks, and your environment begins to shift. Because when you walk like a winner, talk like a winner, think like a winner, you attract winning. And let me say this clearly, winning is not always about the scoreboard. It's not just about trophies, money, or fame. It's about progress. It's about self-respect. It's about becoming who you were born to be. It's about knowing that you didn't cheat yourself, that you didn't leave potential on the table, that you gave your all every single day, regardless of who noticed. That's real victory. You might not win every race, but if you decide to show up like a winner, prepare like a winner, grind like a winner, you're already ahead of 99% of people. Because most never even start. Most talk but never do. Most dream but never act. But now you're different. You made the decision. And that decision is going to separate you, elevate you, and eventually reward you. So the next time you wake up tired, the next time you feel like quitting, the next time doubt creeps in, remind yourself, I already made the decision to show up, the decision to grind, the decision to grind, the decision to grow, the decision to win. And nothing, absolutely nothing, is going to stop me from honoring that decision. It's not about hype. It's not about emotion. It's about commitment. It's about consistency. It's about doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. Because when you live like that, when you train your mind to stay locked in, no matter what, victory is no longer a possibility. It becomes inevitable. You've got what it takes. But now the question is, have you made the decision? Not halfway. Now let's see how it goes. A full, unwavering, no matter what decision to win. Because when you do that, you don't just change your life, you change your legacy. Most people want victory, but very few are willing to pay the price for it. They want success, but they're not prepared to make the sacrifices required to get there. They want to stand on the podium, but they don't want to suffer through the early mornings, the late nights, the repeated failures, or the endless grind that greatness demands. The truth is, every victory is preceded by sacrifice. You can't have one without the other. If you want the win, you gotta be willing to give something up. That's the part they don't talk about in highlight reels. That's the part most people try to avoid, hoping there's a shortcut, but there isn't. When you look at any champion, any leader, any person who has achieved something great, behind their success is a story filled with hard choices. They chose the pain of discipline over the comfort of ease. They gave up what was good so they could go after what was great. And those choices weren't made once. They were made daily, hourly, moment by moment. It's not just about giving something up one time. It's about making sacrifice a lifestyle. Sacrificing sleep to train. Sacrificing time with friends to build your craft. Sacrificing entertainment to educate yourself. Sacrificing comfort to stretch into your full potential. That's the hidden cost of winning. It demands more of you than you initially think you can give. It's not just about working harder. It's about being willing to let go of anything that doesn't serve your purpose. That includes habits, people, places, and even your own mindset. If it's not aligned with where you're going, it has to go. You can't carry the weight of comfort and expect to climb the mountain of success. The higher you go, the more you have to drop. But here's where the real challenge comes in. The sacrifices won't always make sense to others. You'll have to say no to things everyone else is saying yes to. You'll have to turn down advice, walk away from distractions, and choose solitude when others are chasing popularity. People will question you. They'll misunderstand you. They'll think you're being extreme. But when you've decided to win, you're not here to be understood. You're here to be remembered. You're not trying to fit in. You're trying to stand out. And that means making sacrifices most people aren't willing to make. There's a price to pay for everything in life. You can pay the price now through sacrifice, or you can pay the price later through regret. But you will pay. The question is, are you willing to pay up front with your effort, your energy, your time, and your focus? Victory doesn't do layaway. It doesn't allow you to make half payments. It demands everything. It demands total commitment, full surrender to the grind, and a level of discipline that most people only talk about but never live out. Sacrifice is what builds your character. It's what strips away the unnecessary so you can become unstoppable. Every time you choose to put in work instead of making excuses, you're building that champion muscle. Every time you show up when it would have been easier to stay in bed, you're strengthening your resolve. That's why sacrifice is powerful. It doesn't just change your results, it changes you. It transforms you from the inside out. You begin to think differently. You move differently. You stop needing validation from the outside because you're building your worth through your actions. Now that doesn't mean sacrifice won't hurt. It will. You will lose sleep. You will feel lonely at times. You will question whether it's worth it. You will watch others seemingly enjoy life while you're putting in work, wondering if you're missing out. But here's the truth. What they enjoy now, you'll enjoy later on another level. What they waste now, you'll maximize. What they take for granted, you'll appreciate. Because you made the choice to sacrifice now, so you can live the life others only dream about later. Sacrifice also sharpens your focus. It forces you to prioritize. It teaches you to say no without guilt and to say yes with clarity. When you sacrifice so much, you no longer have time to entertain distractions. You become intentional with every minute, every dollar, every ounce of energy. That's the mindset that winners live by. They're not scattered. They're locked in. They don't dabble, they go deep. And that focus is born from the fire of sacrifice. Think about the greatest athletes, artists, entrepreneurs, leaders. Their lives are filled with stories of sacrifice. Michael Jordan getting cut from his high school team and responding by training obsessively. Serena Williams on the court before sunrise. Elon Musk sleeping on the Tesla factory floor. These are not people who got lucky. These are people who gave up short-term pleasures for long-term victories. They didn't ask for balance. They asked for greatness. And they knew that greatness doesn't come without loss. They embraced the pain. They accepted the cost. And in doing so, they earned the win. You can't straddle the fence. You can't have one foot in comfort and one foot in excellence. At some point, you've got to jump all in. You got to be willing to lose sleep, risk relationships, delay gratification, and sacrifice the familiar. And it's not because you hate comfort. It's because you love your purpose more. You see the vision so clearly that anything not aligned with it becomes irrelevant. That's the level of commitment it takes. That's the level most avoid, and that's why they stay stuck. But when you decide to embrace the pain of sacrifice, something amazing happens. You build mental toughness. You develop emotional resilience. You train yourself to keep going even when the feelings fade. Because it's not about feeling like it. It's about being loyal to what you said you do, long after the mood in which you said it has passed. That's what separates dreamers from doers. That's what separates the average from the elite. There's freedom in sacrifice. It sounds like a contradiction, but it's not. When you choose sacrifice, you take control. You're no longer a slave to your impulses or distractions. You're in charge of your destiny. You're not waiting for opportunities. You're creating them. You're not asking for permission. You're earning your place. That's the kind of confidence that comes from knowing you paid your dues, that you put in the work, that you've earned the right to win. So ask yourself, what are you willing to give up to go up? What habits, what comforts, what excuses are holding you back? Because until you're ready to sacrifice, you're not ready to win. It's not just about wanting it. Everybody wants it. It's about being willing to pay for it with your time, your energy, your discipline, your discomfort. That's the true currency of victory. You want to be successful? Make peace with sacrifice. Make it your ally, make it your weapon. Because on the other side of sacrifice is growth. On the other side of sacrifice is power. And on the other side of sacrifice is victory. Success is not guaranteed to the most talented, the most connected, or even the most fortunate. It's reserved for those who simply refuse to quit. That's the truth. The fifth keynote of "you must persist when others quit" is not just a motivational catchphrase. It's the very foundation upon which victory is built. Because when the journey gets tough, and it will, the difference between those who make it and those who don't is not intelligence, skill, or opportunity. It's grit, it's resilience. It's the unwavering decision to keep going no matter how long it takes, no matter how many times you get knocked down. You see, everyone is excited at the beginning. Everyone is motivated on day one. When the idea is fresh and the dream is new, motivation is high. People are inspired. They post about their goals. They talk about what they're going to accomplish. But that's not the test. The test doesn't come when everything is going well. It comes when nothing is going right. When the world said a no, when you're exhausted, when you fail for the 15th time, when the support disappears. That's when persistence becomes everything. That's when your real character is revealed. And unfortunately, that's where most people quit. But if you want victory, you don't quit. You press on. You keep showing up, keep grinding, keep believing, even when it doesn't make sense to. Even when your bank account is empty, your energy is low, and your results are invisible. Because real winners don't let circumstances dictate their consistency. They understand that the path to victory isn't always visible, but that doesn't mean it's not there. They trust the process. They understand that persistence is like water cutting through rock, not because of its power, but because of its consistency. When you look at the people who have achieved the unthinkable, What separates them is not the absence of struggle. It's the presence of relentless persistence. Think about Thomas Edison, who tried thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. Think about J.K. Rowling, rejected by publisher after publisher before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon. Think about Eric Thomas himself, homeless, high school dropout, rejected and overlooked, but he refused to quit. He kept speaking, kept pushing, kept showing up until the world had no choice but to recognize his greatness. That's what persistence looks like. It's not pretty, it's not glamorous, but it's powerful. Persistence means waking up and putting in the work even when you feel like giving up. It means running your race with blind faith, knowing that you might not see the finish line, but it's there. It means doing the reps, making the calls, writing the pages, hitting the gym, studying the notes, even when it feels like nothing is changing. Because every day you persist, you're building momentum, you're building discipline. You're proving to yourself and the world that you are not just interested in winning, you are committed to it. The truth is, life will test you. It will push you. It will challenge you to see how badly you really want it. And when you meet resistance, when obstacles block your path, that's not a sign to stop. That's a sign to persist harder. That's a signal that you're on the right path. Because anything worth having comes with struggle. If it were easy, everyone would do it. But persistence weeds out the weak. It filters out the casual. It separates the tourists from the committed. Because the ones who refuse to quit are the ones who rise. Now, persistence doesn't mean you don't feel tired. It doesn't mean you don't get discouraged or frustrated. Of course you will. You're human. You're human. But the key is to feel all of that and keep going anyway. You rest, but you don't stop. You cry, but you don't quit. You pause, but you never give up. That's what builds champions. That's what earns success. Because quitting is easy. Quitting is what everyone else does. But victory is for those who persist. Sometimes persistence is a lonely road. You'll look around and see people dropping out, giving up, moving on to easier things. You'll question your decision. You'll wonder why you're still here, still grinding, still pushing. But remember, the road to greatness is not crowded, it's narrow, it's steep. And only those with unshakable persistence reach the top. When you feel alone, remind yourself that you're not behind, you're ahead. Because most gave up when it got hard, but you stayed. What persistence teaches you beyond the result is self-trust. When you persist through difficulty, you build belief in yourself that can't be shaken. You start to understand that you are capable of doing hard things. You stop waiting for motivation because discipline has taken its place. You stop fearing failure because you know you can survive it. You stop doubting your work because you've proven to yourself that you can endure what most can't. That belief is priceless. That belief is your power. And let's be clear, persistence will get results. It may not be overnight, but the law of averages is on your side. If you stay in the game long enough, if you keep swinging, if you keep showing up, eventually something will break in your favor. Maybe it's an opportunity. Maybe it's a breakthrough. Maybe it's a person who sees your effort and opens a door. But that moment will never come if you quit. The only guarantee you have is this. If you quit, you lose. But if you persist, anything is possible. Your journey won't look like anyone else's. Some people succeed quickly. Others take years. Some get lucky breaks. Others build from scratch. But it doesn't matter. Your job is not to compare. Your job is to persist, to stay faithful to your calling, to honor your effort even when no one else sees it. Because when you persist long enough, the world will notice. The reward will come. The victory will be yours. So if you're tired, don't stop. If you're discouraged, don't give in. If you're doubting, don't retreat. Lean in. Push forward. Go again. Get back up. Keep building. Keep believing. Keep persisting. Because the moment you decide that quitting is no longer an option is the moment you take power back from fear, doubt, and failure. That's when the tide turns. That's when everything changes. Victory is not for those who have the easiest path. It's for those who refuse to stop walking. And if you're still breathing, still dreaming, still fighting, then it's still your turn. Keep going. Persist when others quit. Because at the end of the day, persistence wins. At some point, you will look back and realize that everything you went through, the setbacks, the sleepless nights, the rejections, the moments of doubt, wasn't meant to break you. It was meant to shape you. You'll see that the pain wasn't punishment, it was preparation. You were being forged in a fire. Molding into someone capable of holding the victory you were fighting for. Because not everyone can handle success. Not everyone is built to carry the weight that comes with their dream. That's why the process is so hard. That's why you had to go through what you went through. It wasn't to stop you, it was to strengthen you. It was to show you what you're really made of. When you persist long enough, life begins to respond. The universe starts aligning things in your favor. Not because it's suddenly easier, but because you become stronger. You no longer fold under pressure. You no longer question whether you can keep going. You already know you can. You've been through too much to go back now. You've sacrificed too much to quit. You've grown too much to shrink. And so the doors that were once closed begin to crack open. Not because they've changed, but because you changed. The beauty of persistence is that it rewrites your story. It takes what was once a struggle and turns it into a source of strength. It takes your lowest moments and makes them the foundation of your greatest victory. The people who once doubted you, the ones who said you weren't good enough, that you were dreaming too big, that you'd never make it, they won't understand. They won't understand how you did it, but you will. You'll know that it wasn't luck and it wasn't talent. It was consistency. It was resilience. It was the daily decision to keep showing up even when the world gave you every reason not to. You'll remember the nights when you were running on empty but still kept going. You'll remember the mornings when you didn't feel like getting out of bed but did anyway. You'll remember the moments when quitting felt like the logical choice, but you chose to continue. That's what defines winners. That's what creates legacy. Not the applause, not the medals, but the unseen, quiet battles you won with yourself when no one was watching. And make no mistake, those battles matter more than you think. Every time you push past resistance, you build mental toughness. You create emotional stamina. You train your soul to withstand storms. Because real growth isn't measured by how high you can rise when everything's going right. It's measured by how deep your roots go when everything falls apart. And the deeper your roots, the higher you can rise. So when others quit and you persist, you set yourself apart. Not just in your career or your goals, but in who you are as a person. You become unshakable. You become reliable. You become someone who can be counted on, not just by others, but by yourself. And that's the most powerful thing, knowing you can trust yourself to keep moving forward no matter what. You become an example, a light, a symbol of what's possible for others who are struggling in silence. Because when people see your perseverance, they're reminded of their own potential. Your story becomes fuel for someone else's fire. Your journey becomes proof that pain is not permanent, and that struggle can lead to something greater. That's the ripple effect of persistence. It doesn't just change your life, it gives others permission to believe in theirs. But remember, persistence is not about speed. It's not about achieving everything overnight. It's about never stopping. Some days you'll take huge steps forward. Other days it will feel like all you did was crawl. But movement is movement. Progress is progress. As long as you're still going, you're still growing, and that's what matters. You don't need anyone else to validate your journey. You don't need a round of applause to know you're doing the right thing. When you're committed to your path, the reward is in the process. The victory is in the decision to continue. That's what separates people who succeed from those who stay stuck. They made a decision, and they stuck with it. Even when it stopped being fun. Even when it stopped being easy. Even when no one else believed. So here's the truth. Victory is not a moment. It's not a destination you suddenly arrive at. It's a decision you make every single day. You decide to show up. You decide to fight. You decide to give everything you have, even when you have very little left. And over time, those decisions compound. They add up. They turn into momentum. They turn into transformation. They turn into results. When you persist, you take control of your life. You stop waiting for perfect conditions, for other people's permission, for luck to show up. You realize that your destiny is in your hand. And that realization changes everything. It ignites something in you, a fire, a hunger, a purpose that no obstacle can extinguish. Because once you've seen what you're capable of, once you felt the power of refusing to quit, there's no going back. You don't settle anymore. You don't shrink to fit into the spaces that used to hold you. You expand, you evolve, you conquer, and one day the struggle will end One day you'll stand in the middle of the life you fought for, and you'll know it was worth it. Not just for the rewards, but for the person you became. The discipline, the strength, the wisdom, the pride of knowing that you didn't take the easy road. You took the honest one, the hard one, the one few are willing to walk, and you made it. That's what victory looks like. That's what it feels like. Not just success, but transformation. Not just winning, but becoming someone who earned the win through persistence, through every failure, through every doubt, through every sleepless night and every painful morning. You kept going. You persisted when others quit, and because of that, you won.